Good day. Welcome to another A Week at the Plot. I think this is most probably going to be the last full sort of 7-day, if you like, A Week at the Plot for some time. We get into the sort of deeper autumn and obviously winter from next week. And there's going to be fewer sort of smaller... No, that's not true. There's going to be lots of small jobs to do and lots of big jobs to do as well. But I think I'm not going to be necessarily down here on a daily basis. I'll most probably be down maybe 3 or 4 times a week. At the moment, the weather is still nice and warm and the polytunnel needs watering virtually every day. So I'm down every day. So I've been doing things every day. Over the coming months, I think that's going to come down from sort of 6-7 days a week to 3 or 4 days a week. But let's see how it goes. There will still be a week at the plot of work that I have done at the plot that week, though maybe I'm not going to be down every day. In fact, I definitely won't be down every day. What that will do is give me an opportunity to do things at home, like research and courses and reading and planning for next year. So there'll most probably be a few more of those videos in the months to come within my A Week at the Plot. But today has been a sort of autumnal jobs day, if you like. I've been strimming. Now, before I strim, as you know, I put my fingers down along the edging. We've got a lot of edges here. So I put my fingers down before I strim where I'm going to strim to make sure there's no frogs or other wildlife there. When I was checking before, I found a toad, which I've moved, and I also found a newt, which I've not had on the plot before. We've got them at the community gardens, but I've never had a newt on this plot, so that's interesting. So yeah, I do that to make sure there's no wildlife so that when I strim, I'm not going to injure or kill any wildlife, because what's the point? You know, we try and balance our life of growing with wildlife. So there's no point in not thinking about that when you're trying to tidy your plot and strim. What am I doing with all the strimming bits that have come off? Well, they're green. And with cardboard, they're going to be going into our Hotbin composter. Our Hotbin composter, everything in there now has really composted down quite well. There's a few bits that I'll chop up and put back in to this next lot. But tomorrow I'm going to be emptying our Hotbin composter and putting that onto the bed where the Luce de Otono broad beans were. I try and do that Hotbin compost in a rotation around the beds. So if a bed has had Hotbin compost on it this year, it's unlikely to have something for until next year now, certainly. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. The reason I'm putting everything into the Hotbin composter is there's quite a lot of Cinquefoil in there, and I do not want to put Cinquefoil, which is a terrible weed. It's a wild strawberry. Unfortunately, it doesn't produce strawberries. It doesn't produce anything edible, but it creeps along the ground and really does take hold. So yeah, I want that in the Hotbin composter so that the heat of that composter destroys any seeds and destroys that whole vegetation as it composts down, which is great. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. Let me just show you the Hotbin composter now, and then I think I'm just going to carry on. Actually, let me just show you something before I show you the Hotbin composter about how I try and, what's the word? I can't think of the word. Corral, that's it. Corral wildlife into certain areas at this time of year. Let me show you. So I have strimmed this area, and I've particularly strimmed along the edge of that bed. But then when it gets to this area here, I've stopped strimming, and around here, and also I'm not going to strim around this area. I sort of want wildlife to go into that area, so by taking away long grass here, I'm pushing them into that area there. I'm also going to leave this area here with grass growing. So again, that will be another habitat for wildlife over winter, unless I decide to move the bamboo somewhere else. Let me just take you over to this area. Maybe you can see a bit more easily. You can see that on the right, along the edge here, I've strimmed, but then along the left, I've not strimmed. Again, that's to encourage wildlife to go there. It's all about that balance of working with wildlife. You want wildlife in your garden, but you also, or allotment, you also want to be able to make sure that if you want things nice and tidy, you can keep them tidy. So that's what I've been doing today, and I'm really pleased to have got that job done. Now, let me show you the compost in our Hotbin composter. You've seen before the Hotbin composter, the sort of TARDIS-like one, next to our pallet composter. And this is now quite cool. Can I get you in on there? Yeah, it's under 20 degrees now. So if I open it up, this has really composted down over the last couple of months. There are still some bits like this, which maybe I should have cut up smaller, but much of this compost in here is going to come out tomorrow and go onto one of the beds. But that's a job for tomorrow. This frontage here, these straps come off and this frontage comes out, as you've most probably seen before, and you pull the compost out from there. So by tomorrow, this will be empty and I'll be able to add our cuttings or our strimmings into this Hotbin. Okay, see you again tomorrow. Bye. Good day. There's my compost in the Hotbin composter. Done quite well. That bit hanging down in the middle is a bit of plastic. God, it just gets everywhere. I'm not quite sure why there's plastic in there, but never mind. Quite a bit of worms, because quite a few rather worms, because as I say, the heat has gone from here now. I've put a tray at the bottom to catch any compost that falls out, and I've got my trusty wheelbarrow that I got earlier in the year to put the compost into. Now I'm going to fill it up. Now empty, and this is the compost that has come out, a barrow load, as you can see. Lots of worms. There's one, you see that one trying to go for cover in the middle, but they go away from the light, so you see worms and then within a matter of moments they're sort of underneath. But yeah, this is the third lot from our Hotbin this year. It really works well because we put the horse poo and the straw into it, and that really does get it going, and also chicken manure pellets, so that all of that helps get the heat up. And then, as you saw yesterday, we've also got a tub here of ripped up cardboard. This is the front of it, and there's a few bits there, 2 bits of plastic and a weed that I didn't break down, cut down at all. Those will go back in. I will be giving this a good spray, but I'm not going to remove the base plate. As you can see, the base plate has got indentations. Those are holes. In fact, will I? No, I'm not going to remove the base plate this time because I know it's all working really well and there is airflow in there. But I am going to give it a spray out. But now I'm going to put this onto one of the beds. If you want to know more about starting up a Hotbin composter, you can check out our videos on YouTube, and I'll put a link in on this section so that you can go over and see how we use our Hotbin composter. This is the bed where I'm going to put that barrel load now. There we are. That is the Hotbin composter emptied, filled into the wheelbarrow, and the wheelbarrow emptied onto here. I have left that cheeky prince in just in case it does anything. I think we're likely to get frost before it actually does. In fact, I think that's virtually guaranteed, but you know what? Who knows? I'm going to leave it in there. But yeah, that's one Hotbin load, or the third Hotbin load of the year, onto a bed. And now I'm going to add twigs into the bottom of the Hotbin composter, which I've just given a really good spray with a hose, so it's sort of all of those holes at the bottom are now completely clear, and start filling it up with twigs, cardboard, and then I'm going to put on the trimmed grass clippings from yesterday. Okay, that's it for today. See you very soon. Bye. Good day. We have had more rain earlier this morning, so I'm going to see if I can get these brambles out. I think it may be a bit of a job, but let me have a go. Right, that's some out. This one is going over here. going over there still. Right. That's dead. So that root hopefully is out. Gosh. This is the cardboard from the base. It's dry as anything. That's the bramble and bramble roots we've taken out. After I stopped filming, I dug down maybe another 6 inches and just pulled some of the older roots out, like that. That will do. What I am wondering is whether I dig those 2 beds before I put the onions and garlic in. I know we're no dig, but there's quite a lot of, so let's just go over, there's still quite a lot of Cinquefoil under the cardboard that we put down, and I just think it would be sensible to get as much out of that Cinquefoil as I can. So yeah, that will be another day. We've got some more rain coming, in fact virtually a week of rain, so I will do it when the lower ground is a bit softer. But you know what, I'm really pleased to have got those roots out. They've been driving me mad for 3 months now. Yeah, very happy with that. Job done. See you another day. Bye. Good day. Quite a different day today. Grey skies, spitting with rain. periods of rain all day actually, and I wasn't going to do anything, but I've decided I am going to crack on and fork over this bed to take out as much of the Cinquefoil, that pernicious strawberry-like weed, that I can. So I'm just going to crack on and do that. How much I'll get done today, I don't know. That's what I'm after. And these white roots like this. Look at that. If I leave that, it will just form new plants. I just want to get out as much root as I can. Again, this is the base. This is the cardboard I put down. It certainly has kept weeds down, but I reckon they'll come back with force next year. Right. As sometimes happens, you start doing something and then you start thinking more about it. So quite a lot of the bits of cardboard like this had spirals of bindweed beneath them, and I've taken as much of the Cinquefoil out as I can, though some is creeping in from the edges, so it's creeping from here into there. I have really forked this bed now. You can see how it's different to that one, which I have not touched yet. But what I'm now thinking is, do I take all of this compost out, put it into a bag, possibly at the end, one of those jumbo bags that we have here, and then lay cardboard underneath, because there's no doubt about it, the cardboard has helped suppress the weeds. And I'm wondering whether a second sort of process of doing that again this winter is going to be worth the time spent doing it. I sort of think it is. Let me just show you the amount of weeds we have taken out. So this is a large, this is like a double seed tray, if you like, and it's full. Look. So some of these, like this, that spiral has been underneath the cardboard. Some of it may have grown through this year, and some might grow through if we hadn't dug it out. So I'm really pleased, but look at the amount. I mean, I thought Cinquefoil was going to be the main problem, but clearly the bindweed and also couche grass is the bigger problem. Right, I need to think about that. My gut is telling me the best thing to do is to empty that edge bed, both of them. So this would happen with both of them. Empty that edge bed. Make sure as many of the other remnants of weeds that I see when I do that are taken out, and then put cardboard back down, and then put this compost back on top. Yeah, I think that's the sensible thing to do. Yeah. Gosh. Oh dear. Yeah, I mean, oh dear, yes, that's a job. I reckon that's actually going to be another video in the series of working on our new plot, actually. I mean, it's, you know, I've learned so much by doing this last couple of hours of work, because it has been a couple of hours of work. I also disturbed a red ant's nest, so many of those this year, but obviously with the cold weather, that's going to, you know, die right back. Yeah, let me think about this overnight, but my gut feeling is remove as many of those perennial weeds. I mean, they're so much weaker, so they're so much easier to remove now than they would have been, rather, at the beginning of this year, when it was just grass, if you remember. Well, grass and weeds and couche grass and bindweed and Cinquefoil and dandelions and raspberries and brambles. Anyway, look, I'm rambling, aren't I? Shut up, Paul. Just go away, think about it, and yeah, I'll let you know what is going to happen tomorrow. Okay, see you very soon. Bye. Good day. A wet and grey day today, and incredibly breezy. In fact, windy, gusty. You can't see at the moment because we seem to be in a sort of lapse of wind, but when it gets going, it's really incredibly strong. It's the start of Storm Alex, which we're going to be getting over the next few days. You can see how it gusts up. And yeah, I'm not going to really do anything down here today. I've come down just to check and make sure that the shed was locked and the polytunnel was shut, which it is. And I was hoping to crack on with these two beds, these onion and garlic beds, but that's not going to happen today. In fact, I don't think it'll happen over the weekend. But you know what? That's fine. That's fine. Other things to do, like chocolate cake to eat. Right. So yes, not a huge amount of work to go on outside today. We do have our cuttings, our rose and thornless blackberry cuttings, and also some plants on the bench at the side of the shed here in gravel trays that don't have holes in them. We have two colours of gravel trays: black that don't have holes in them and green that do have holes in them. And with the amount of rain we're going to be getting today and over the coming few days, and in fact going in for maybe even more than a week, I want to swap out the black trays with no holes with the green trays that do have holes, to make sure that our cuttings and plants aren't sitting in water, which won't do them any good whatsoever. Of course, they need to be moist, but they don't want to be wet. So I'm going to do that. I've checked the polytunnel and it doesn't need any watering today. It's absolutely fine. It had a good watering yesterday. I'll most probably be harvesting a few tomatoes, so that's more tomato sauce to be made later on today. And then I'm going to be going home and I think continuing with the Vital Seeds seed saving course I mentioned last week, which I'm really enjoying. I'm now about halfway through, so hopefully over this weekend I'll finish that course off. And there's various other things that I'll be doing and I'll tell you about tomorrow. But yeah, quite different. This storm that is coming up, Storm Alex, that's coming up from France. I think it's been named Alex from France rather than from Ireland or the UK. It's quite strong, and when I looked at the weather forecast for the Channel Islands, because Mum of course is in Guernsey, there was a lot of rain and particularly a lot of wind. So I don't think she'll be going for her walks in the next sort of day or so, certainly. Anyway, it's really started chucking it down now. So I'm going to say goodbye. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye. Good day. Yesterday I was talking about swapping out trays and I got interrupted and forgot to do these two. The black ones don't have holes in them. The green ones over there do. Look at the amount of water. I mean, that's full. So I'll be swapping out those black trays for green trays now. Yeah. What I'm actually come down here for, because there has been a break in the rain, so just coming up to 1 o'clock, and I'm thinking about where I'm going to sow broad beans this year to overwinter. I had thought, if we just walk around, I had thought about putting them in our courgette bed, and I'm still thinking about that. So that would be in here. There's quite a bit of work to do on this bed, but that soil is pretty nutritious, so the broad beans will like it. Though I would need to cut this hebe back because I want to give the broad beans as much air around them as possible. The other option, or another option, though not ideal, is putting them into here, though you'll remember that we've had two sets of broad beans in here already, so I don't think that's a good idea. It would be great to have them here, but I just don't think it's a good idea. So the other thought that I have is whether we put them into this bed where beetroot and turnips are at the moment. I'm not going to be planting the seeds of the broad beans out for at least another 3 weeks, if not 4 weeks, 5 weeks. And I think largely by that time, this bed will be empty. We know that onions are going into this bed and garlic is going to go into that bed. And all the other beds, so this are brassica beds here. And then even though we have squash in here at the moment, there's also perpetual spinach in there. And we've got chard and perpetual spinach and celeriac over there. So these beds are not possibles for those broad beans to go into. So I think it's either this bed or the courgette bed over there. I think sensibly this is the better bed to put them into. Though I do know that that bed over there is more nutritious. It's got better soil in it. I'll think about that. You know, as you chat about these things, you wonder, and I sort of think the courgette bed makes more sense. And then I think maybe this one makes more sense. That one, where the broad beans were, I would like to see that compost that came out of the Hotbin composter compost down for a few more months. So I'm now knocking that one off the list. So it's either courgette bed or beetroot turnip bed. I will ponder that. Yeah, I'll ponder that. Oh gosh, look what we've got down here. That beetroot's been chomped, and I reckon that's pigeon damage. Right. Need to get in here and weed that. Not weed the pigeon damage. There's some bindweed there and Cinquefoil at the front. Yeah, but that's going to be for another day. Look at these sunflowers though. This is actually a sunflower that broke down here and bent over, and then the flowers have grown vertically from the horizontal stem, if you like. How gorgeous. Okay, that's it for today. I'm going to swap out those 2 gravel trays I forgot to do yesterday and ponder the sowing of the broad beans. Bye. Good day. It's wet. It sort of feels as though this rain has just been solid for 2 days. The ground is pretty saturated now, and also because there has been so much rain, and also further up our river, the water coming down the River Brent, which bends around the site, yesterday just about broke its banks. It was sort of at the level of the towpath, and given the fact that our site, the water has now saturated the soil, any runoff from the water didn't really have a chance to get into the river. I mean, obviously it did, but there was a slower release. So yesterday, the lower end of our allotment site flooded some of the plots. A couple of inches of water, and today it's fully subsided. So that's great, though the river level is still really high. The canal yesterday also broke its banks. There were canal boats floating. I mean, obviously canal boats float, but these had become untendered and were floating. I think there were 3 of them. So that was sorted out by several people yesterday, thankfully, as well, and nobody was injured, which of course is great. But I've come down here today because I really wanted to check the Amish Paste and see if they were ready to harvest for seed saving. Any flesh that is left over from the seed saving, we will put into a pasta sauce. Oh, polytunnel door's just shutting. Look how the colour changes. I've opened it fully again. Yeah, I came down to get the Amish Paste and see if they were ready to save for, or to pick rather, for seed saving. When I touched the bunch that I think I said a week ago that I was going to keep for seed saving, they all fell off. So I think they're ready to pick off the ground because that's where they are at the moment. Right, these tomatoes and that one over there were all hanging off here, this truss, and when I touched one to see if it was ripe, they all fell onto the ground. So yeah, they're ready for seed saving and processing into more pasta sauce. Right, that's going to be it. So I'm going to take those home now and go through a process. I know which ones are, there were 3 on that bunch that I really liked, and I know which ones they are that fell to the ground. So I put those into a separate bag. Those are the ones I'm going to save seed from. The other ones will go into a pasta sauce, and I'm going to be picking a few more of the very ripe tomatoes now. With the gusts of winds that we're getting and the fact that they're at real ripeness, yeah, best to get them in so that we don't lose any of our harvests. The Cherokee Yellow, I have decided I am going to be growing those Cherokee Yellow next year because having tasted them, they are lovely. However, they're still ripening. So I'm going to leave those on for as long as I possibly can. And when I come down, if I see that the wind has knocked some off, then I'll double check to see if they're ripe enough to use for seed saving. But fingers crossed, they will be great. Anyway, there we are. I'm going to go home now and have a cup of coffee, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.